Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading advocate for Hispanic business in our region. In Houston, we represent over $54 billion per year in consumer spending. Our thanks to our volunteers, sponsors, board of directors, and staff as we work to advocate for business and for a stronger economy. Learn more by visiting the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate our Houston legends. Today, none other than Sarah Frazier of Odyssey, a great partner to the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and a leader locally and nationally. Sarah, congratulations and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Well, we're so excited. You and I have had many ventures together, professionally and personally, and it's amazing that you've been in the industry 20 plus years.
Yes, it is. It's such a fast-moving industry and a lot of change, and so being able to navigate that is one of the things I'm most proud of, actually.
Well, and you should be, because we know that industry has so much change, as you mentioned. 10 years are short. You've been in this position now 10 years?
Yes, this is my 11th year here in Houston. Yes, and 21 with the company. So I've gone from when we just were over-the-air, regular radio, terrestrial, to having an app, streaming, podcasting. Things have changed dramatically since I got into the business.
And yet you all have still thrived and doing extraordinarily well. How do you keep up with so much? I know you have a daughter who's just gone on to college.
I do.
And you're doing this, and it requires a lot of time, energy. How do you balance all of it?
Well, balancing, I think, is hard. But when it's funny, my mom always told me, you can choose to have a career or have a family, but you can't do both because it's too hard. And like everything with my mom, I didn't listen to her advice. And so I really wanted to do both. But the one thing I did negotiate with myself was I'm going to spend quality time with her. And so when she was born, I decided I was going to come home at 5:30 every day. Now, I would spend that time with her till she went to bed, and then I would start working again. So I would just time shifted my work to later. But now that she's gone off to college, I'm so happy I did that, because we had a really great time and we had a lot of quality time together in that dinner time period. And I think, as women, sometimes we think we can't do both, but we really can. Yes. You just have to be really thoughtful about it and prescriptive on where you place all of your energy.
Your priorities and what is important to us, we make time for, as they say.
That's right.
So now, as you look at the landscape that we're in and all of these changes in your space, it's been amazing to watch you receive the Broadcaster of the Year.
Thank you.
Which is no small feat. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And your team. I've gone over there so many times to record our program that we have over at Odyssey. And different holidays, things are decorated and it's moving fast. It's a high energy group.
Yes.
And so what has been your key to success in recruiting and retaining your employees?
Well, I think culture is something that is really high on my priority list. We spend so much of our time at work, and I want to make sure that the time that everybody spends at work is fun. I want them to have fun. It doesn't have to be a beating, right? We can make that whatever we want it to be. And so we do celebrate things. We celebrate. Halloween is my favorite, as you know. When you open the elevator doors, it's terrifying during Halloween. But everybody, this will be our, I think, 14th year of our annual Halloween costume contest, and everybody gets dressed up. Little things like that. We celebrate quarterly rock stars, people, whoever the person is in our cluster that is the rock star of the quarter. And we celebrate them. We just take time to celebrate. And I think especially in a culture right now where people are working at home and working in the office, it's even harder to bring everybody together. So you have to really make sure to find that time and activate that as a leader, because otherwise culture is one of the first things that's going to go. And that worries me for the younger generation. Yes,
especially as we are seeing more and more wanting as a priority that remote work.
Yeah, and that is not great when you're starting out, because I think one of the things that put me ahead was that my bosses were able to see my work ethic. I never left until they left. And sometimes that would be really, really late. But I outworked them. I was there and turned the lights on and I turned the lights off. And if you're all working remotely, your boss isn't seeing that.
So Sarah, tell us a little bit about your first big break. What was that?
I was in the car with my boss, and his old boss called and said, hey, do you want to come to Dallas and work for me? And he looked at me and said, hey, do you want to go to Dallas? And it was serendipitous. They were looking for somebody who had experience in concerts.
Yes.
That had been my prior role. And so they brought me to, I just said, why not? Why not move to Dallas? I was young and single and didn't have anything to lose. And so I thought, let's do it. And that chance that I took has propelled me all the way through the last 20 years.
Incredible. And I know recently you went back to school. Tell us about that.
I did. Well, like I said, when I got started, when we sold radio, there was no digital.
Right.
And so over the last 20 years, I've been leading our group through this transition to digital, creating the Odyssey app, putting all of our stations online, podcasting, social media. So I was learning it as I went as a journeyman, but I really wanted to learn it from the academic standpoint. So when COVID happened and I wasn't entertaining clients at night and I wasn't doing all of the events that we normally do, I thought, you know what? I've always wanted to get my master's degree in digital. Let me take this time to do that. So I applied. And you actually wrote one of my letters, so thank you.
And I said, you'll be done before you know it.
And I graduated in July, so now I have a master's in digital content strategy from the journalism school at the University of Kansas. And I know it so much better. And I feel like as we prepare for our 2024 strategic sessions that we're getting ready to do, those things that I learned are all going to be implemented in some way, shape, or form with our stations next year. So that's really an exciting part of it.
I think that's a really valuable advice, right? Is that we must continue to educate ourselves and find ways to stay ahead of the game, if you will, as much as we can. And I just want to thank you. When we went to you and said we wanted to do something on radio, you said absolutely, and we're on 6 of your stations, and we've been able to interview some extraordinary people in the city and from outside. And then you and I have also interviewed mayoral candidates. We're going to be doing that again this year.
Yes.
But the information is so valuable. It is just a way to be able to communicate, because not everyone can go to a forum after work. They've got kids, they've got softball, whatever the case is. And so for us to be able to partner with you all at Odyssey and so many other groups has really helped this chamber propel. So thank you for that. We really appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure. I think, our number one job is to serve the community. And what is more important right now than the Hispanic community and Hispanic business owners? It's one of the fastest growing groups. And advertising propels business. So we're a really good partner in that way. And also, I think the things that you do on the air with us, audio is the hottest medium. People love audio and they're spending more and more time with it. Time with audio has actually doubled over the last 5 years because you can now listen on demand. So all the podcasts that you do on our Odyssey stations, anybody can get on demand on the Odyssey app whenever they want to listen to them.
And more and more, as you said, right, they want to customize their experience, whatever that might be.
That's right.
And speaking of experience, some great community work, everything from the Texans to veterans, some phenomenal partners.
That is the thing I'm probably most proud about. We do over $6 million in cash and airtime donations generated for charities in Houston every year. So, for example, we started off this year with 10,000 for the troops, which we tried to raise 10,000 cards, thank you cards for our troops overseas. We ended up with over 70,000 cards for our troops overseas. We just finished what we called One Pet, One Vet. We wanted to raise enough money to buy a veteran a service animal. And the community stepped up and we raised over 7 dogs that we are able to provide for veterans. Mega 101 does a fundraiser for Texas Children's Hospital every year that raises between $250,000 and $500,000 a year. We have a wing, actually a lobby, named for us. So there's it's thing after thing. We're getting ready to start one of my favorite projects, which is the fundraiser for Barbara Bush Houston Literacy Foundation, which raises money to get books in kids' hands over the summer, so that their learning does not slide. They can have books of their very own. And, if we're making a difference in Houston's kids, we're making a difference in Houston's future. And that's what we're here for.
Well, we've been a proud partner. And I know we've got lots more to do over with our friends at Odyssey. Tell us, so you've been doing this 20 years plus now.
Yes.
What would you like your legacy to be?
I want the legacy to be that people that worked with me felt like we made a difference, whether that is our employees, our partners, our clients, my colleagues. I want everyone to feel like the work that we did really made a difference for Houston. So I think the key to a happy life is having a purposeful life. And so I think the things that we're doing are really providing a sense of purpose, which makes everybody proud to work there. And hopefully they think it was fun. You know, I want to provide a little bit of joy and a little bit of purpose. And if I can do that, I'm hugely successful.
Well, that's a great legacy to have. And it sounds like you are very focused on making that absolutely your legacy. We've got a lot of young people watching us, and having a career for younger people today is very different than what it was for us 30 years ago. What advice do you have for people who are just entering their professional careers?
I think the thing is, be visible. I think visibility is a scary thing right now because a lot of them are working out of their home. So be visible with your boss. Take that time, go talk to people. Also, make sure that you are constantly learning. Even though you may have just gotten out of school, especially in media, things are changing so fast. You have to really invest in yourself.
Yes.
So invest in yourself, and 3, work hard.
Yes.
You know, outwork everybody you can, because people will see that. And while I think there's a lot of questions nowadays whether loyalty is valued, I can tell you from somebody like me, loyalty is very valued. So find somewhere and grow with the people and grow with the community, and you'll be very successful.
Yes, and you're right. It does matter where you work and who you work with in making this decision. And while short term, especially I think for the younger generation, the remote experience seems really fun and cool and less effort. I think long term, it's not going to be the best for them because they're not going to get the opportunity to see Sarah Fraser in action and all that comes with it, and opportunities and being able to step up and volunteer for assignments and whatnot. So we thank you for being an incredible, extraordinary leader in Houston and for being a Houston legend. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading advocate for Hispanic business in our region. In Houston, we represent over $54 billion per year in consumer spending. Our thanks to our volunteers, sponsors, board of directors, and staff as we work to advocate for business and for a stronger economy. Learn more by visiting the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com.
Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We just really enjoy being here and meeting our Houston legends. Today we have none other than my dear friend, Mary Bass. She is a superstar. You're going to get to know about her and what she does here as an executive recruiter, a headhunter. That's right. She's out there trying to identify great talent and has done so for over 20 years and has been very engaged in the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. She's served on our panels at our women's conference and other activities, and so we're happy to have her here and see if she can convey and transmit some of her great energy through the airwaves. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you.
So happy to have you here. I always enjoy seeing you, Mary, and from the time I met you, it's just, I feel as if we connected because it's just all this great energy. And so on behalf of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, congratulations. We really do believe that you are indeed a Houston legend, a woman who has had many accomplishments, so well known in this city, and has so many relationships here in the city of Houston and throughout the country in healthcare, energy, and other sectors. We just wanted to acknowledge you and also have you share your story of how you became this accomplished career woman and how you've utilized the many gifts that you have to really attract some of the best people for some extraordinary positions. So welcome, Mary. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here and very flattered.
So first of all, tell us a little bit about Mary, where you're from, and then what got you to your current role here in Houston.
Okay, well, I'm from Vicksburg, Mississippi. I'm one of 7 children, and that sort of explains things about me. I'm in the middle. Well, 3 from the top, 4 from the bottom. And what got me here was my fiance, who is now my husband of 36 years, was transferred to Houston in 1983.
And Houston is a dynamic city, very large. But one of the things that I think you do best, and I think you can help people understand, some folks have a really hard time doing it, and as a matter of fact, don't even think it's really necessary, and that's the word networking. And you have mastered it. Help people understand why it's important, and give them some tips on how to do it properly.
Okay. Well, I do think networking is critical to many things, and I think it's a sport. You have to have stamina. And I think you shouldn't do it in a contrived fashion. It should just come naturally to you, and you can practice until it does. But it enables other people to get to know you. So even if you're a shy person, you can network. I'm not a shy person, nor are you. But I think networking helps you create opportunities for yourself, lets you get to know other people, let them get to know you, and then things happen from that. Things evolve from networking.
Well, it's also the follow-up. And sometimes it's as easy as saying, I'll just meet 2 people tonight, and I'll focus on them. And one of the things I found, especially people who are shy, they'll say, well, I'm just not good at conversation, and I don't know what to say. I said, well, the great thing is that you can just ask questions.
Right.
And let them do all the talking.
Right.
So very important. And that's especially important in the role you play. Tell us about your job and what you do, and how you've made a career out of something that has just been life-changing for all the people you've been able to meet and place in these very prestigious roles.
Well, I think it's important to be authentic, and I think that I've achieved that, and I treat people with dignity and respect, whether they're the candidate or the client or the server or the chairman, and I think people feel that, and I think they trust me, and when I give them career advice, I think they trust me. I've been consistent for the 36 years that I've been here. I've been in this business for 23 years, and before that I was in private equity. It's all about people. I love people. I like to help people. I have a soft spot for women in particular right now, because I think women need to improve their self-esteem, and they need to raise their hand, and I think if I can help in that endeavor, I try hard to do that.
And it is interesting that you mentioned that, because we are in a time when many women feel as if they are in many ways being marginalized at very different levels. At the same time, we see this new flood of women who are confident, who are getting out there, but still need those years of experience to arrive, to be at the corporate level, to have a position on boards. We know that the statistics regarding Hispanics, minorities, women on corporate boards in Houston is very disappointing. We're less than, I think it's 5%.
Right.
So what are you seeing? What are you hearing as it relates to women serving on corporate boards?
Well, our firm has placed over 2,000 women on corporate boards. In Houston, we placed a number of women on corporate boards, and the numbers are improving. Women need to realize they need to be qualified to serve on corporate boards. And so part of what I try to do is help them figure out what they need to do, how to package themselves, the skill sets they should acquire so that they are qualified to serve on public boards. And then to only serve on boards for which they have passion for the mission, chemistry with the people, and feel really good about what that company is doing. You do not do it to check a box.
And do you feel that, in fact, women are focusing more of their attention, trying to get those qualifications, and in fact, there are women already out there who are qualified, who just don't have that as a thought of something that they might consider?
And I try to make myself available to give them advice or insight into that process. And the really good thing is that women are raising their hand earlier in their careers, because there is a period of time that you can serve on boards because there's a timetable. So the earlier they realize that and start preparing themselves for board service, the better.
Great. Well, we're going to continue that conversation and a lot of other really great conversational points when we return in a moment. Thank you.
Gosh, what a great organization. What great leadership from Dr. Murillo. You always want to go where the future is, and this is where the future is. And when you look at this people, the quality of the production, everything about this organization and the leadership, this is what you want to be a part of.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading regional advocate for the economic and civic interests of the Hispanic business community. Our 3 legislative priorities include DACA, NAFTA, and census. Collectively, the economic impact of these 3 legislative priorities is $24.8 billion in the greater Houston region. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce announced a wide-ranging partnership with the City of Houston ahead of the pivotal 2020 U.S. Census to increase engagement and broaden awareness. We have utilized our media platform, which includes CBS, Intercom, Univision, KHOU 11, and the Q to disseminate facts and figures. Additionally, the national media has taken notice of our chamber and has featured us on Bloomberg, CNN, The Washington Post, NPR, Money Week, to name a few, in an effort to educate and emphasize our role as the leader of Houston's new majority. We prepared op-eds, wrote white papers, held press conferences, presented on local and national panels.
NAFTA, as you know, your chamber once again has taken the lead. The numbers don't lie.
This is about jobs, economic impact. We know that a trade between the U.S. and Mexico is over $180 billion as it relates to Texas.
We celebrate the fact that the United States Supreme Court has thrown out that census question that was, are you a U.S. citizen?
It was also a banner year for the Chamber's annual initiatives, groundbreaking and data-focused Hispanic Impact Summits, the Women's Leadership Conference and Business Expo, Health, Innovation, and Technology Summit, our annual Luncheon and Business Expo, the largest in Houston, as well as our elected officials reception, annual awards gala. We graduated emerging leaders. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce remains mission-focused.
And as go Hispanics, so goes Houston.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading regional advocate for the economic and civic interests of the Hispanic business community, the leader of Houston's new majority.
And we are back with Mary Bass. She's been talking to us a little bit about some of the great work she's doing here in the Houston area. As we know, there are many opportunities for executives in the city, and she's out there working with them and has been doing so for a very long time. We consider her a great friend to the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. She's a partner over at Spencer Stewart. She's going to talk to us a little bit more about some of the trends you're seeing in your field, things that folks should be aware of as you have seen them, and just some advice that you may have for folks who are out there as executives.
Well, it's all about packaging yourself correctly for what you aspire to do. So, for instance, if you aspire to be on a board, look the part, act accordingly. And one thing that I think many people take for granted is that networking and preparing yourself for your next opportunity is almost a 24/7 endeavor. The scrutiny of today is more thorough than it's ever been, so you need to be careful about social media. You need to be careful about your behavior at sporting events. You just need to be, it needs to be consistent, and you need to be careful.
Yes. And also, I would add your authentic self. I think you mentioned that earlier, right? Be true to who you are.
Exactly.
And look for opportunities that suit things that you already believe in, right? And so that there's some type of, in some ways it's organic, but at the same time you're working toward it. Would you agree that that's type of?
I would agree. And one of the things I wish that I had known when I was 20 is the concept of being self-aware. Know your own strengths and weaknesses and work on your weaknesses. Yes. And improve yourself. It's an ongoing effort, but it's good to know how people respond to you by being self-aware about how you come across.
Yes, very important and great advice. Let's go back to your career. This is one that is very important, and I know that you'd rather talk about everything else except yourself, but I think it's important, Mary, because you have this confidence, this great energy, and I think there are a lot of people out there who wake up already tired, and they wake up already feeling defeated. But you have this can-do attitude, and I want to make sure that our viewers get a sense of that and what has driven you to be the person you are today.
Well, I have two grandmothers in Mississippi who both had college degrees, and they told me I could do anything I wanted to do, and they wouldn't lie. But for me, I am a fitness junkie. I work out every day, always have my whole life. It gives me energy. This morning I was at yoga at 6 a.m. And you walk out of that class and you just think, bring it on, I can handle it.
Yes.
And it's hard to get out of that warm bed. It's really hard. But when you do, you feel better about who you are, and you can look in the mirror and think, I did it. I said I was going to do it, and I did it. I followed through, and I honored my commitment to myself, and that makes a big difference. And I won 3rd place in the marathon one year. I don't run anymore. I look like I do, and everybody thinks I do, so I let them. But that gives me a lot of confidence, too, because I know I can get you across the finish line. I have stamina. And I think fitness is mental fitness, and it's also physical fitness. And you can't accomplish what you want to do in your career if you don't feel good about your fitness level that you can stay in the game.
Yeah, and that's been something you've done for many years.
My whole life.
Your whole life. That's incredible. And it's just getting out of bed.
It's hard.
And doing it is
it's
difficult.
Hard, but it pays off because of the way you feel after you've done it.
Well, clearly it's paid off. Look at you, just running circles around folks here in the city. And going back to advice that you'd have for people who are, let's say, in their 20s or 30s, what other advice might you have for them as they're going through their career?
Take time to take care of you, which is consistent with my other points.
Yes.
Take time, put yourself on your own calendar and give yourself time during the day where you take care of what you need to take care of. Whether you need to meditate or whatever you need to do, or just go take a walk and take a break. Don't work yourself into oblivion. It's important to have a strong work ethic, but you also need to take care of yourself so that you can take care of the other things that are important to you in your life.
To disconnect sometimes, even if it's
That's
just for a
healthy.
brief moment, it's okay to do that.
Exactly.
So for women in the workplace, they have different challenges, you would agree, than men do. And many of them often, myself included, especially when my daughters were little, this guilt of working and family and how to try to be in both places at once. And I ultimately realized I could not.
Good.
And letting some of that go. But I think women, more than men, suffer from what this feeling is, which is guilt. How do you, or what do you suggest in managing those feelings?
Well, that's why I try to talk to women and find out what's going on and give them permission. We need permission for some reason. It's just part of our DNA, most women, where we feel guilty about doing things that others don't feel guilty doing, and we need to give ourselves permission to do what it takes to take care of us, or we can't take care of the other things in our lives, including the career, and including your family. And your family is going to be happier with you if you're happier with yourself.
Right. I like to call it me time, and I actually
That's
do,
good.
Mary, put it on my calendar, and it
Good.
says me time.
And then honor it.
Yes, and it's important. And then I feel like I'm ready to take on the world after that, but we all need a break. And you've been such a great role model to me and so many others in this city. And I know you don't think it, but people see you and they have a high level of respect, men included, and you've earned it. And as you said, you've been consistent. So on behalf of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we want to thank you. We want to congratulate you for being a Houston legend.
Thank you. I'm very honored.
Thank you. And thanks for joining us here. I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading advocate for Hispanic business in our region. In Houston, we represent over $54 billion per year in consumer spending. Our thanks to our volunteers, sponsors, board of directors, and staff as we work to advocate for business and for a stronger economy. Learn more by visiting the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com.